everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Joy Mentor on the Happiness Summit. Please welcome me and joining Nicola Fernandes, our special guest. She is a self-love and coach from New York City who lives with her husband, her daughters, and her two cats. So, for many years, she's been a guide on the journey to self-love and fulfillment, inspiring others to live in joy. She shares her wisdom as a master shaman, certified transformational coach, and master practitioner for NLP. Nicola, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I know you talk about love being our superpower. So I'm wondering if you can share with us a little bit more about that, about having a superpower and how love is our superpower.
Yes, totally. I love to, it's so interesting. Just yesterday, I saw another podcast that showed, love and joy, how with that resonance, we can really change this earth. Every time we actually are feeling bad, or we even feel, bad for somebody, or we don't allow ourselves to just be in love and joyful because others are not, we might lower the resonance around us and on the planet. So I really truly believe love is that superpower, and we start with the self-love, because we only can love others when we really are in sync and loving ourselves. So the key for me is really to finding joy and love. The key is self-love, and it starts, connecting, what I do a lot with my clients, connecting to their heart and connecting to their soul.
That's beautiful. Can you give us some tips on how to practice self-love? Because you're right, we need a lot more of it. I think it's sometimes easier to love other people even than to love ourselves. So can you give us some tips on how we practice self-love?
Yes. So, think about it, that it's really important to do it on all levels. So physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, right? So, I have some clients who, are so on their spiritual path, and they think it's all about meditation and it's all about connecting to consciousness, and they get really good in having the intuition. And we never can forget the physical. We never can forget our emotions. So I really want to invite you to constantly, every day, maybe even have a balance between all of it, really loving your body, which means, having a bath, eating good food, going for a walk, and the emotional, obviously, which is, always very tied to the mind. The love is finding things that, I know everybody has heard it, but it's every day being grateful for, because they bring love. And then whenever the mind says, oh, but you shouldn't do this, and you're not good enough, and do you really deserve it? Not saying, psst, like, psst, I do it anyway, saying, okay, mind, thank you for reminding me and forgiving yourself, and knowing there's another time where you get a chance to do it right without having a little voice. So, and then obviously the spiritual, some meditation or sitting still and connecting to your inner wisdom. And so finding a balance of all of it will more and more, it's like kind of like a pie, right? You want to have all the slices, right?
Yeah, I think you're so right about the physical too, because I think that taking care of ourselves, like on the wellness journey, and I know it's been challenging for some people during this time, but to really get united again with, you're right, taking in healthy food, getting our rest, and really starting to take care of our physical body. I think there's a lot more stress on us during this time than we're kind of even aware of, because it's going on around us. So I love that you're talking about doing it all together instead of just doing a portion of it. I think it's that, like, keeping our feet on the ground, right? Even if our head is in the clouds. So it's a beautiful, beautiful way of being that you're talking about. I love that. Can you talk to us about, I know you work on joy. Can you talk to us about, like, how can we bring joy about in our life? What can we do different?
Yes. And I think, so it's on one side super easy, and yet it requires practice and discipline. It's really deciding that you're going to look for joy. and really telling you, you can have a conversation with your unconscious mind. And, for those of you who are not so aware of your unconscious mind takes care of a lot of things, like your heartbeat, your digestion, your whole survival, your nails growing. The unconscious mind is really amazing. So you can have a conversation with your unconscious mind and really instruct it to remind you to look for things that bring you joy. And so, more and more every day, look for things, and it can be the small things. It can be like the bird on the tree, or, right now here in the Northeast, the leaves changing and the beautiful colors. It can be the sun just hitting the roof of a building really in a beautiful angle. It can be very simple things, but getting into that practice of finding joy, looking at the strawberries in the groceries, right? Up to obviously your loved ones and something special happening, but find it in the small things and make it a practice. Like it becomes almost like a spiritual practice to look for that joy every day. And then you can even up it. And as you look every day, you can say, what's the most joyful that day, which makes you keep on looking the whole day, because there can be always come something more joyful. So I think that's a really easy, but you need to be dedicated practice to more and more see joy, because what we focus on will elevate.
I love that. It's true too, right? It's interesting because right now I think people are being pulled into focusing on the negative, or
Yeah.
they're being pulled to focus on divisiveness. There's a lot of divisiveness going on out there, which is really heart-rending sad, because we all know that we need to love each other while we're here more than anything. And so it's interesting to watch this division. So I love that what you're saying, because really, if you just focus on perceiving that which is love, that which is beautiful, it really does change your life and start changing your mind and the feelings that you're having. I like that. I know you talk about putting yourself first. Can you talk about why it's not selfish to put ourselves first?
Yes, totally. And it's a pet, how do you say, the pet peeve of mine, because I really truly believe, first of all, how everybody says, in the airplane, put the oxygen mask first on yourself. Everybody understands that, but that's in an emergency. I think it has to be even in regular life. You have to love yourself first, and therefore it's not selfish. It's more like the other person is selfish, because they are saying you are selfish if you think of yourself first instead of them, and then they are not selfish that you want to think of them first. Yet it's also really, you can contribute so much more to this earth when you do your work. Okay, we talked about, obviously the 4 pillars: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, but also clear up your major emotions. We have so many tools. I work with shamanism, timeline therapy, the neuro-linguistic programming. Clear up your old stuff, because then you don't have all this gunk that you walk around with. It's kind of like, we put our garbage out on the street for the garbage man to pick it up. Why would you leave it there, right? It's like nobody says, oh, you're selfish if you want the garbage to be taken off, right? So the same way with your emotions, let them go. It's old stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking about that this morning, because I teach taught habit patterns, like to find the taught habit patterns. And there are so many people, they're truly not aware that the life that they're living is based on this old programming. So becoming aware first, and then getting it up and making a new decision, like you're talking about, is paramount to them starting to live that kind of a life. So I know when you talk about self-love, you have specific practices that you do each day to start doing that. And you're right, right? If we're not full, if we're going around on empty because we're so busy taking care of everyone else and not taking care of ourselves, man, you just run on empty then, right? You have nothing left to give. So I like that. So are there like specific things that we can do each day that like really bring us closer to that self-love that we have inside?
Definitely. So, one is, it always starts with a decision, right? And one of the decisions is really not to leave your bed, not to put a foot on the ground before you feel good So not to leave the bed already ready with thinking, oh, what I have to do, what's going to happen. No, you can decide, you can choose how you want to feel, your state of being, and only leave the bed once you think of something really good, something exciting. And then, I really suggest a few practices in the morning, and you can do each maybe 5 to 20 minutes, which is, meditation or sitting in stillness, some journaling, some exercise, and then reading like a spiritual book. And it doesn't mean the whole book. You can even, once you read it once, open it at a page and just trust that that's the page that you need to hear for that day. And the fifth one is really, in goal setting, and I hope many of you have already written down your goals, but really repeat it, feel it, and visualize it every day as if it's already happening. Because that throws out that hook to that goal, that connection, like that umbilical cord, and you give it energy. And it also gets you excited and fueled up for the day.
Yeah, I like that. That's interesting because we really do. We used to talk about, like, if you get up on the left side of the bed, try getting up on the right side of the bed, just to not do your programming every day. So you're right. Those are things that kind of ground you in now. We're right here where we need to be in this moment. And so we will find all of the beauty and the things going forward in our day. I like that. And I love that you talk about intention and purposely finding and repeating over and over what it is, the life that you plan on having. Because I think you're right. If you can't actually feel those feelings and make it that real, if you do, your body knows, and your mind knows, and your heart knows, and your spirit knows how to go get it. So I love that you're talking about that. So I have another question. I know that you practice NLP and you're a master at that. Can you talk to us, like, what is NLP, and talk to us more about it?
Yeah, so NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is really working a lot with the mind, and especially with the unconscious mind. There is, it can be broken down, a lot of the things that we are like a computer. Like, for example, 80% of people have the same eye pattern. So if you study their eye pattern, you actually know if they are imagining something or if they're recalling something that they have seen before. Right. And this is not, this is very ethical to be used, right? But it really helps you and helps you guide the client and the person to understand themselves better. So, some people, for example, are more visual, some people are more kinesthetic, some people are more auditory. And the more you understand yourself in that, the more you can really make profound changes in your consciousness and how you perceive things. Right. So just a small detail is like, if you, if you liked ice cream and you wouldn't like it so much anymore, there's like a 5-minute shift we can do. So you don't like ice cream as much anymore. So, really watching people, how they behave, and therefore shifting it in a very ecological win-win, high level way, that you're more in a desirable state, you're more powerful, you're more successful, you're in this motivational, resourceful state from which, again, others get inspired, and you, just by being you, can bring so much more to the world.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it's about that now, right? I think, I had a near-death experience, and I mean, I was already on this path, but when that happened, it cemented some things. And I know for sure, like you do, that we're here to support other people, to help them find the truth about themselves. So I also know that this is your mission. So can you talk to us a little bit about, like, why you've chosen this and what happened in your life, maybe that made
Sure.
you take this decision?
Yes, sure, sure. So, initially I'm born in Germany. I studied business in Germany, and I started out here, being very successful, working on Times Square, in the music industry, 42nd floor. It was all about, going out, having fun. We had a live-in nanny. And then my second daughter was diagnosed with autism, which turned everything for me around. And she is such a gift and light in my life, because she opened me up to all these healing modalities. and really to love and what life is about. And, you know, the biggest thing that happened to me is I went to all these seminars, one after another, to figure out how else can I help her, right? Because the doctor said they don't know where it comes from. They don't know what to do about it. We did all kinds of therapy, but I knew there must be something else. And the thing was, every time I came home, she was better. So the more I worked on myself, and I'm still getting very emotional about it, because the more I worked on myself, and was it my perception? Maybe, but you know what? This week, actually, last week, Tuesday, she started as a teacher in a preschool.
What?
Yes.
That's tell us more about that. That's fantastic.
Right. I mean, yeah. And, you know, it was a lot of work on all sides, and it was 24/7. And it was like, you know, more than that, it was like 2 jobs. Right. But, you know, we always, you know, she went maybe to 6 different schools. So we constantly looked for the best schools. We constantly hired therapists. My husband and I learned the training. And even now that she works in that preschool, you know, she is supported by an environment who teaches her. You know, she's it's after boarding school in an environment where she lives with a group of other, you know, some mildly challenged, you know, young adults with some supervision, and she gets trained there, and they know that, you know, there are some flaws in her, you know, like sometimes she can't get the concepts immediately, or, you know, there, you know, things that she still has to learn, but she has total language. She's totally aware of everything, and she loves kids, and she's willing to learn, and she does whatever it takes.
Isn't that incredible? Wow, you guys have been incredible parents. What's her name?
Louisa.
Louisa. Well, she sounds like a very special young lady, and it sounds like she had parents who were really willing to go to whatever length necessary in order to give her her best life. And now look, she's bringing her gifts to the world, and you're an example of that as being her mom. You truly are. So guys, I want you to know Nicola is really coming from the heart, and she truly tries to help people find their very best selves. Her website is right below, and she's giving you a free gift as well. Will you talk to us a little bit about the free gift that you're giving?
It's actually huge, because I want everybody to have that. So it's 40 ways to connect to your soul. Yet what's really amazing about it, what we added, is the following day, you get a guided journey to connect to your soul. And that's like a game changer for all of my clients, because once you feel that love of your soul, once you experience something once, it's there. Nobody can take it away. So don't miss that.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, my beautiful friend, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your heart. You are such a beautiful light in this world. We appreciate everything that you do to continue to help out there. I know you're right. We need a lot more of it, right? We need a lot more of it. So thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for the joy you bring.
Ah, likewise, my friend.